You probably clicked on this video and thought something along the lines of, ugh, bras weren't worn in the Stone Age, but the reality is we don't really know. There's very little evidence we know about Stone Age textiles because many things just don't withstand the test of time. A lot of what happens when you reconstruct Stone Age textiles is educated guessing and interpreting the evidence that we do have, and most of all, trying to put yourself in the shoes of the people then, along with what they valued and some of their social philosophies and beliefs. For example, we know that prehistoric people loved to create art and not only produce functional clothing, but beautiful clothing too. One of our rarest and most informative material examples of what people wore in the Stone Age is actually Ötzi, the ice mummy. I had a chance to visit him a few weeks ago when I was shooting in Italy, as he's in a museum in Bolzano called the South Tyrol Archaeological Museum. I was obviously absolutely freaking out.
Going to see Ötzi.
What did you just say?
I'm getting heart palpitations.
Why?
Because like I'm going on a first date.
Ötzi said that because you're here, it's actually free entry tonight.
Really?
It is.
I also spent some time examining his garments because it's rare to have such an opportunity to look at the fine details of prehistoric stitching up close. The thing that struck me the most is just how much stitching and piecing there were on his garments. You aren't allowed to take photos of any of the specimens in there, so that's of course why I can't include any original footage, but it was a very educational experience for me, and also it is making me approach my own Stone Age clothing reconstruction a little bit differently. So of course we don't have direct evidence of any type of bust support garment in the Stone Age. We have little evidence of textiles to begin with. But earlier this year, I created some Mesolithic clothing, more around late Mesolithic Europe, I would say. I highly recommend you watch that video after this one if you'd like to see the evidence I gathered for my own interpretation, and keep in mind that this isn't the entirety of what a person may have worn during that time. In reality, I still need to create a lot more outer layers to have a full Stone Age kit, but this is what I've managed to create for now, and I think it's a good starting point. One of the garments that I created for that project was a fitted bodice, which I was saying is sort of like a Stone Age bra because obviously, the idea of bra during that time is probably nothing like what we think of it as today. It's kind of futile, in fact, to compare the two, but this is the way that I can put it into modern terms. I have no idea if a garment like this was actually worn in the Stone Age, but it is possible to make a garment like this one in the Stone Age because I created it all out of Stone Age materials and using Stone Age tools, so it isn't out of the realm of possibility. And I feel like most likely at least one individual throughout the whole Stone Age probably needed bust support and decided to create a garment to accomplish that. Of course, with using the materials and tools that they had readily available to them. Stone Age people were very smart, so naturally they created solutions when they needed them. That's also the only way that our species could continue to exist. So for this entire week, I'm going to wear this Stone Age bust support garment or bra or whatever you want to call it, just to see how it is, if it's comfortable, and if it continues to provide support. I have a smaller bust, but I still do need support, especially if I'm exercising, so I'm going to incorporate as much exercise as I possibly can this week. That way I can really see how well this is working and if it's a viable option. Now, it is autumn, so I can't only wear this bodice because that'll mean that I'm extremely cold. So I will be wearing other clothing on top of it to stay warm. It's going to be really funny pairing up this Stone Age deerskin bodice with a bunch of other period historical clothing. So as I said, the bodice is made of deerskin and the lacing and straps are made out of corded hemp fiber. The stitching is made out of either hemp fiber or animal sinew. And I developed a system for this bodice that also means that it's fully size adjustable. So if someone were to be nursing or they gained or they lost weight, this bodice could be adjusted depending on their size and their needs, which is something that is super important to remember to incorporate within the realm of any historical, or in this case, prehistorical textile, because most clothing needed to be maternity clothing. And if it didn't need to be maternity clothing, it at least needed to accommodate for the natural fluctuations of a body throughout a person's life. So regardless of how my body changes, this garment should keep on fitting me. And a little disclaimer, if you're here for something other than a little good old experiential archaeology and historical textiles and some educational content, then you're definitely in the wrong place, and you should probably get off of this video. Before we jump into the week, I'd like to thank the sponsor of this video, June's Journey. With June's Journey, you get to step into the shoes of a determined protagonist, June Parker, who was an amateur detective in the 1920s. She's incredibly committed to solving her sister's murder, and along the way, she uncovers so many shocking family secrets. The game is a free-to-download hidden object murder mystery game, and every new chapter comes with beautifully illustrated scenes and a progression deeper into a captivating storyline. With so many narrative curveballs, I'm honestly shocked sometimes with where things end up leading. Also, I just can't get over how beautiful the illustrations are. Perhaps it's because I'm a sucker for historical and vintage things, so having an entire in-game world that's set in the 1920s just makes me really happy. In addition to the hidden object scenes, you can also decorate your very own island to creatively express yourself, and there is special and seasonal content that feature unique rewards. I like to play June's Journey when I want to relax a little bit and do something other than work or handicrafts, you know, just for a little bit of variety, but I also still want something that is going to be mentally stimulating. So June's Journey really checks both of those boxes for me. Download June's Journey for free today by clicking the link in the description or by scanning the QR code here on screen. Thank you so much to June's Journey for sponsoring this video, and now let's jump into this week-long Stone Age experience. So I've got the Stone Age bra here, as you can see, and it has lacing here on the side, and that's how I get a really close fit. The way I made this was I actually just sort of took a piece of deerskin and started to drape it around my body, and because deerskin stretches over time, you actually have to make sure to make it even tighter than you want it for the end result because it will stretch. Now I'm going to put this on to show you all how it looks as well as the tightening over a shift. But for the actual experiment, I will be wearing it just against my skin because that's the most realistic effect for what would have actually existed during, you know, say the Mesolithic. I guess they already had linen fabric by the Neolithic, but anyways, this is the way we're going to do it. So I'm going to put this on and show you all how to tighten on the side, and then we'll start the experiment. It's going to be very funny putting this on over my shift. So you can see the side lacing here. I haven't secured it yet, but I'm going to tighten that up now, and then I'll show you all how it looks. Alright, there it is. You can see it's all nicely secured and it offers a lot of support already. When it's over a shift like this, it reminds me a lot of Regency stays, actually. I based this design off of medieval clothing because a lot of it is side lacing, and even though that's much later period, lacing has been around since a very long time. In fact, I was quite excited to see in one of the medieval textiles books that I was reading called Textiles and Clothing circa 1150 to 1450, Medieval Finds from Excavations in London, really good book by the way. They mention this little section on lacing because of the medieval context for lacing, and they talk about how it was most likely something that existed all the way back even into prehistory. And this is something that I had already instinctually felt because it's really easy to create lacing systems for garments, and it's also an incredible way to have something be both size adjustable, but still end up fitting you really well. And this, of course, would not only help to keep you warm, but then you have a lot more options for how to play with materials, which I think goes into the value of prehistoric beauty, which is that people wanted to make things beautiful, and the more options you had to imbue your art into your creations, the more beautiful things would perhaps be. Kind of like all the different variety and the diversity within the different ways to approach garment construction could in and of itself be what was partially beautiful. So yeah, I was really excited to see that because I was like, yes, that's exactly what I've been thinking the whole time. That's why I went with side lacing for this garment actually. So now you can see the garments. Let me see if I can turn around so you can see the back of it. And I'm going to go and start the experiment officially, take off this shift, put this on my skin, get dressed, And I will check in a little bit later to tell you all how it's going. I already feel super supported. It feels like my posture improves and everything just feels like really secure and just really nice, honestly. Here's another one of my medieval shifts, and it has a little bit of a lower neckline. So you can actually see I've put the Stone Age bra underneath. And yeah, you can see that there's quite a lot of support. It's kind of the feeling I would get when I was wearing corsetry every day. I often felt very put together when I was wearing something, and yet it doesn't impede on my breathing or anything like that because it's actually not that tight. I'm gonna get the rest of my layers on and see you later on in my day. Hopefully you all can see me okay with this candle. Maybe I'll put it here. So I just finished my whole day. I'm still wearing the Stone Age bra. And I walked over 12,000 steps today, and I fast walked, really. Like, I tried to get my heartbeat going up. That way I'd kind of mimic the way hunter-gatherers sometimes walked, because I believe they walked long distances, but probably at a faster pace than leisurely sometimes. I'm going to keep on planning as much exercise in my days as possible to kind of mimic the very active hunter-gatherer lifestyle, because people back then definitely moved way more than we typically do in our very modern sedentary lives these days. See you all tomorrow. It is day 2 of the Stone Age Bra Week, and I just got home from a very long walk and running some errands, and I've been wearing the quote-unquote bra for about 6 hours so far, and it's feeling really great. I also did another power walk, so that way I could really push it to its limit point and see if it's actually supportive. And honestly, one thing I noticed is it seems to be keeping me a lot more warm. Deerskin is definitely not ideal for super hot weather, but it is great when it's cold out, and it feels like an extra little layer. I'm not having to wear as many layers when I'm going out now because of it, which is really interesting. I'm going to do some sewing now, and I'm curious to see if it offers me any back support, especially if I'm sewing for a few hours or more, which I'm going to be doing. Sometimes I can get a little bit of back pain due to being a little bit crouched over, so I'm curious if it will offer me support in that regard. All right, I will check back in a little bit later. It is the end of day 3, and as you can see here, underneath my garments, I am wearing the Stone Age quote-unquote bra, bust support garment, whatever you want to call it. Yesterday I did so much sewing, and then today I did even more because I'm currently working on a project for the video that comes out a week after this one. For all of November, I'm releasing a video every week just to say thank you and to celebrate the upcoming holidays a little bit. So lots of content for me this month. I noticed with the sewing that this garment sort of causes me to be a lot more mindful of my posture because I can feel it on my body, not in an uncomfortable or an unpleasant way, but just it reminds me that it's there. And so yeah, I think that's actually really nice because I noticed at least yesterday and already now today, I have a lot less back pain because I'm not like hunched over like this sewing like I can sometimes get when I'm really into it and hyper-focused and not paying attention to my body. So that seems to be a really nice side effect of it. And Stone Age people spent a lot of their lives sewing and making textiles and making various things for their communities, for instance, baskets and nets and different things that they needed for everyday life. So that would have been very much a part of Stone Age existence. When I was putting on the garment this morning, I pulled the string a bit too tight and ended up snapping. It's still okay for the moment, it's hanging in there and everything is still tight and supportive, but tomorrow I will have to replace it, so I'm debating on what material I want to use, as well as whether or not I might want to use sinew. I think I'm gonna go for another type of hemp cord, I'm guessing. Today I was actually speaking to one of my friends about this whole experience, and he does reenactment as well, but he does 14th century reenactment, so a period where there is a lot more historical evidence and illuminated manuscripts to refer to, and he asked me, what evidence are you using for this week? And that's a very valid question. We don't really have evidence. All we have is evidence that this wouldn't not be possible. So all the materials I'm using are Stone Age materials, and it aligns with some of the values that people had during that time. But I just know I'm going to get people in the comments saying that this is absolutely impossible and that we have no evidence for this. That's correct, we have no evidence for this, but we also have no evidence that this wasn't possible. So I think it's very important that people try these experiences and experiment with all these different options to see what does work, because my version of the bust support garment could be a possible option, and perhaps some type of simpler wrap might be a possible option made of deer skin, or maybe some sort of basket woven twined fabric. So there are probably many options, and it probably depended a lot person to person. I just wanted to clarify, I don't think that this was 100% done. I just think that there is a likely possibility that this could have been done, and it isn't outside of the realm of possibility. My rant is done. So far the garment is great. Good night. See you all tomorrow for day 4. It's the end of day 4, and today I restrung the bodice with some more hemp cord because it ended up breaking yesterday, so that's finally taken care of. And today I went for a reasonably long hike of about 12,000 steps with one of my friends. Everything held up really well and I felt super supported. And then when I got home, I did a ton of sewing and dyeing things and in general just working around the house. And yeah, I felt really good. In fact, my posture feels nice. I even did some computer work, which is very not Stone Age. And I felt like my posture was significantly better as well because I kept kind of being reminded to keep my back straight again, which is useful when you're slowly slumping away on a computer. It's pretty clear to me that this option works really well, at least for what I need. I would be very curious though if someone with a larger bust would make a bodice like this and see how it is for them. Day 4 was a big success. I'll see you all tomorrow for day 5. Alright, the Stone Age bra is on for the day. You can see it here. I look like this because I just washed my hair. That's why I have this thing on my head. It's not some latest fashion from some new historical period I'm working on. Could be cute though. I mean, there's plenty of cultures that wrap their hair like this, so it's possible. Now I woke up today and I put on this Stone Age wrap and it's really starting to annoy me. It's not because it's uncomfortable or not doing its job, it is. It's because it feels gross now. So I did not wash it after using it quite a bit over the summer, and that was probably my mistake. And yeah, deerskin, you can wash it just like you would many other garments, and as well in a tub. So people in prehistory definitely would have washed their skin garments, don't get me wrong. It's not like they were super unhygienic or something. In fact, probably a lot of cultures deeply prioritized hygiene because it's important for many people. But it's just that I sort of didn't wash it before the shoot. And so it's at the point now where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to not be wearing this thing. And it's only day 4. Is it day 4 or is it day 5 already? It's day 5. Tomorrow I really need to make another wrap. Just come up with a different solution to try out a different style or something. And I have a pretty interesting idea for it, so I'll see you all then. It is day 6 and I wasn't feeling well this morning, so it's later in the day than I had hoped for to start this. But I still have about 8 hours to wear this, and I just put together this Stone Age bra wrap thing. We're gonna try it out, see what happens. It's pretty simple, just 2 big strips of skin that are kind of tapered at the edges to be able to tie them. And yeah, let's give it a go. So my intention is to put this part on my center back and then kind of wrap it around my bust. Yeah, that feels good. Okay, so this is what we've got going. The shape is really weird. It's choking me so much. Ugh. And this is like so excess baggy here. Not very comfortable. As you can see, skin behaves quite differently than fabric does, because fabric will not usually be this stiff, especially like the type of fabric you might do a bust wrap with. So I'm not really liking this idea all that much. Well, I'm gonna give this a go without the shift, and if I absolutely hate it, I'm gonna try something else tomorrow. So really quick update, I just straightened things out in the mirror a little bit, so it's looking a lot better as you can see, and I untied this, and so I'm not feeling choked because I think maybe it was just the way my shift was sitting underneath the wrap. So I'm already feeling a lot more confident about this and a lot less annoyed. So I'm going to now actually try it out. It seems like maybe it might be actually possible. I think I look so funny with this underneath my shift. One thing I'm noticing is that it's keeping my neck really warm, which is a nice side effect of this. And also the deerskin stays put surprisingly well because it kind of holds against itself. And because I made the back part wide enough, it actually covers a lot of my back too. I also looked at everything in the mirror to see where things were, and it looks like my bust is sitting quite high, and it's also sitting a lot more to the side, so that's interesting. But I do feel supported, and I even did some jumping around and I still felt supported, so that's great. Seems like this is actually working much better so far than I originally thought it would, especially once I took the shift away from underneath. There's my little check-in. Hello everyone, it is day 7. I'm feeling very under the weather today. I have like a fever a little bit and body chills, so I think I'm sick. Therefore, I'm going to still wear the wrap, but I'm going to wear it just at home because I'm not feeling well, so I'm not going to go out. My plan for today is to wrap it around my bust and then do a kind of anchor point string design with a knot at the back, so that way I can keep it connected, because metal obviously doesn't exist during the Stone Age. That's why it's called the Stone Age. And so people are not using things like metal pins to keep things closed like you get later on in ancient Rome, where they're using fibulae or something like this, for example, with the strophion. And so I have to come up with a different option, which is why I thought a little tie system like I have on a Mesolithic skirt that I made would be a great option for this to keep it shut. So let's give it a go. So I've got the wrap on my bust like so, and I think I'm going to put one anchor point here with a tie and then one right here, and then just tuck in the end. This is feeling quite secure as well. To be honest, this is almost the exact same design as the bodice that I made and wore for the first 5 days, so it's not really that different, but let's just give it a go. So I'm going to be a little dangerous here and pull and all through. Away from me, of course, not towards me. This is my bone awl that I made. As I've been researching prehistoric textiles this past year, I learned about how the development of string totally catapulted textile development for prehistoric humans. So that makes perfect sense, because string is just incredibly useful, and it's sort of the foundational element for many other forms of textile crafts. If you think about weaving, it's a bunch of strings that can get manipulated in a way. Same with spraying, same with basketry and net making. Now I've got that, so I'm just going to put the needle through the holes that I just made and secure it there. That does not feel tight enough, but okay, let's just give it a go as it is. And then I'm just gonna tie like a slip knot or something here to keep it secure. So now there's just like a little string loop here on the side. I'm just going to do the same thing for the other side. I'm not going to wear this for very many hours because I really just want to go to bed and rest. I think I need to with a fever. It's currently the afternoon, so I will check back in later once it's dark. Normally I can pierce deer skin really quite fairly easily, but when you're not feeling well like this, your strength goes away a lot. There we go. Maybe this is a very legitimate prehistoric experience, because you couldn't just not make textiles if you had to, if you were ill in the Stone Age. Survival always called. Alright, so something like this is what we're going with. I'm gonna tie this, and then we have a little wrap. We'll see how it goes. So first impressions, somewhat supportive. Doesn't feel quite as supportive as yesterday. Definitely doesn't feel as supportive as the wrap that I made, and actually put a lot of effort into sewing with the side lacing. That is by far the most supportive. So we'll see how this goes until the evening. I don't expect it to be that supportive, to be honest, just based off of my initial feelings, but maybe we'll be surprised, who knows? I'm going to go and try and rest a little bit, and I'll check back in later. It is the evening of day 7, and this concludes the Stone Age quote-unquote bra week. I would say that I had one very successful option, and that was the first one that I wore for 5 days. The one that I actually spent a lot of time sewing and had straps for and the side lacing. I definitely think that's the best option. The one that I wore today with just wrapping it around and using the anchor point ties ended up falling down after about 30 minutes. So either I'd have to wrap it significantly tighter, which actually is pretty hard to do when you're wrapping yourself like that, or I would need to come up with another solution like side lacing and the straps, which help to keep everything up. I really need to go and rest now. Thank you so much for watching this video, and a huge thanks to June's Journey for sponsoring this video. You can download June's Journey for free today by clicking the link in the description box or scanning the QR code here on screen. I will see you all in 1 week for a very exciting video, which I've been putting a ton of work into, and I explore a lot of things that I actually haven't before. See you all then. Take care.